Hey guys, thanks for stopping by for another episode here on YouTube. This is my second video. Today I'm going to be talking about the top 5 tips for enhancing or everyday photography that I actually applied into my professional work, and so hopefully you guys find something useful. All right, here goes. So here's my first tip: is try your best to kind of shoot center or shoot perpendicular. You're literally right in front of the subject, so that way you're not too far right or you're not too far left. And because if you do, then your image somewhat is a little bit crooked or it's at a diagonal, which sometimes is not very flattering. So I'm just speaking on general term for a lot of the photos that kind of look nice, but of course these the rules that I'm going to be listed here, you can totally break them. I break them all the time to kind of be creative and etc. And so, but in general, try to shoot center if you can. If you have 3 or more subjects, it works really well. Make sure you're right in front of them, and so when you take it, it's nicely center. Okay, so that's rule number 1, or tips number 1. Tip number 2 is try your best to while you always center, try to keep an eye level on your subject. So what that means is that not keeping your phone, not keeping your camera too high, not keeping your camera too low, because either the image is distorted in either position. But if you know what you're doing, definitely there's an advantage for having your camera higher and having your camera low. And so, but in general, a lot of the stuff that I shoot are mainly eye level. I'm eye level to the camera, just like I am right now, and so photo tends to be more flat in that way. So try your best to keep an eye level. Rule number 1 or tip number 1 is center first, and then now you're an eye level. Majority of the time, that already kind of generates some really nice photo if you already apply those first 2 tips. So that's tip number 2. Tip number 3. Avoid busy background. Okay, if you have worked with me or have seen me take photos, especially in the morning when we're taking preparation photos for couples or weddings, or whenever I take something, if I see a background or if I see something in the background that is busy, I literally either move it or I move my subject. Okay, so try your best to avoid busy background. If you see something that is busy, move them away to something very simple, like just a one color, just something simple. The simple the background is, the more your subject's gonna pop. Okay, now I'm speaking in general, taking pictures of people here just every day, but if you're into landscape photography, that's a totally opposite, right? So in terms of what you want to capture. So I'm just speaking in general everyday photography here. So try to avoid busy background you can when you're taking pictures or taking portraits, because that's going to enhance and make your subject pop out more. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is vertical and horizontal. I combine these 2 together. Is when you see, for example, when you're taking pictures and there's a lot of vertical lines, whether it's the light pole or whether it's a ladder or just in your background, there's just a lot of vertical lines, then try to shoot your camera vertically, because then the picture is gonna kind of absorb that, and it works better, and your eyes see it's better because it's better aligned. And so if you see more vertical lines in your background, or just in general, like for example, if you're taking an individual standing straight, he's vertical, you shoot vertically, it's going to look nicer than if you're going to shoot it horizontally. Okay, now if you have a group of 4 people, now they're stacked, now somewhat it can work both ways, because now they're horizontal and vertically, so that you can shoot it both ways and it'll still look pretty good. But in general, if you see more vertical lines in the background or the subject, shoot it vertically, it's going to look a little more flattening. Now same thing with horizontal. If you see a lot of horizontal line, which I'll be honest with you, a lot of the photos that we take are horizontal. Why? Is because there's a good depth of field, there's a good horizon, and everything that we see, there's a good depth, there's a horizon line, right? So that line is already horizontal, so a lot of photos that we take are horizontal. But not everything. So keep that in mind. When you see a lot of horizontal lines, it might work better for a horizontally positioned photo versus a vertical photo. So that's another tip that at least helped me a lot, is when I take let's say couple photos and I see I'm shooting them in like a forest or something, and there's a lot of vertical trees, I would literally shoot a vertical photo for them. Or let's say horizontal, when I'm at the beach or something and I see the sea line, I see the what is it, horizontal line that from just the distance, I would go ahead and position my camera to take it horizontally. That way my photo is just, your eyes see it better that way. And so that is tip number 4. And tip number 5 is excuse me, try to find a balance in your photo. Okay, what that means is that like you know, if you want to shoot, if let's say the background has a really heavy object on this side, what that means is that you can literally place another object or your subject on this side to kind of balance that photo. Okay, or you know, in general, or if you don't like or you can't find that balance, like I said, try to change the background, but try to balance it out so that way you literally fill up all the gaps, or so that way it doesn't really have a lot of white space. You know, sometimes when you're outdoor, when you're shooting something, there's a big tree on one side or something, move your subject or move you know, to a different background. If the tree is there, then somewhat, you know, balance it out by having more people on this side. For example, when you take group photo, I'll be honest with you, I take, you know, family photos all the time, and sometimes when they come up for the family photo, it's just a bunch, you know, lump on one side, you know. So if that's the case, I literally would have to ask them to kind of spread out, to kind of balance it out, so that way, you know, it's just a more nice balanced photo if you can, right? Or if you want to be creative, sometime when you're traveling and there's just a tall building on one side, but yet, you know, there's nothing on this side, try your best to kind of balance either by placing the subject here, or shoot it, or turn your body, or just position it so that way the perspective, or at least the background, at least is balanced. Then you place the subject in. The photos tend to look a little bit more flat on that way too. So those are the 5 tips and tricks you know, that I like to share. At least that's what I think works well. Again, I'm just sharing ideas that works for me. It could be completely wrong, you know, but hopefully you guys can learn something. But I do apply this in my everyday photography, and I find it actually very helpful. So actually, one tip is if you're an iPhone user, this actually helps a lot too. And so let me give you a special what is it, tip for iPhone too. Okay, this I see a lot at wedding reception, and so check this out. Okay, so when I'm in my for phone, iPhone users, when I'm in my camera setting, I like to use portrait mode, because it actually makes the subject more flattering. It has that blurry background effect. So if you like that, you know, use the portrait mode. It's going to enhance that. I'm going to take a photo here. You can see here, and then if sometimes, you know, running kids, something's kind of hard to take, but if not, just a regular photo is just fine, and make sure that it's nicely balanced, eye center, and then you can take it. Totally works fine as well. Okay, so that's the portrait mode. The other thing that I also want you to aware for iPhone is that sometimes if it's very dark, you can totally adjust that brightness, or if it's, you know, too bright, you can adjust it by making it a bit darker by just tapping on the subject. And then this is a scroll bar. You can scroll up and down to change the exposure, change the light on it. Works really well if you're like at a reception or something where the light is very dim, and you know, you want to make it a little brighter. Tap on the subject, and then you can increase that brightness on that. So that has helped a lot of people, because I see it all the time, and so hopefully you guys find that useful if you haven't already know it. All right. Hi guys. So that concludes you know, the top 5 tips and tricks, and also one bonus one for iPhone users that at least helped me a lot, you know, in how I started photography, and I still continue to apply that in my professional work right now. And so hopefully you guys find that helpful. You know, feel free to drop me a comments below, or subscribe if you continue to like to see more videos from me. And you know, I'll see you guys next time. All right? Okay, take care.